live yet again, waiting on YouTube here. There we go. We've got some questions, a few things. Wanted to start off with really, really good news. The jobs and I think it was just a jobs report today, unemployment reports were released with good news, which is great. So rates actually dropped about 0.25% today. Super exciting. So about 6.75 or 6.76%, I think was what I had seen. Yesterday was over 7, so it was 7.02 yesterday on the mortgage rate daily website that we kind of keep tabs on. So today, the questions that I've had a lot this week are actually more about new construction and water. I know Buckeye was just written up with some reports that they may not have the water that they thought that they had for the new building that they are doing out there. And so I don't really have a whole lot of answers for you. We'll do some research and see what we can come up with. I know the West Valley is a little bit different from the East Valley when we're talking about Phoenix here. The East Valley has a lot of water that comes from the reservoirs that are Roosevelt Lake, Apache Canyon, and Bartlett that are up kind of on the northeast side of Phoenix. Those all get channeled into canals that serve the East Valley, and the West Valley is way more CAP water focused. And so that's all coming from the Colorado River Project. And so with that stuff getting shut off, the West side has a little bit different water story than the East Valley for sure. So most cities have been banking water underground. And what that means is they've been recharging aquifers and pumping water, either regenerated water or excess water that they have in their allotments back into the ground so that we can draw from it later. So with Arizona's situation on top of lots of aquifers, it's not really as dire as California or Nevada, where they don't have aquifers and they don't have the reservoir banks. So some of that stuff is really, I mean, you can get way into the weeds on the politics of water. It's a big deal, but that's kind of a general overview. So it's not quite as scary as the media would lead you to believe. But each farm that comes out of farming actually saves water on the usage measures. So a neighborhood will take far less water than a farm. And so each farmer that gives up an acre of land is an exciting thing in our water books. And so unfortunately, as much as we like farmers and having some of that open space and things like that, a neighborhood or development is way better for our water usage long-term. So kind of an interesting thing. We've also had questions lately about, can you get new builds inspected? So we'll shift gears a little bit. We have a couple of new homes, and we've had to do some education with our buyers to let them know that you can bring in a separate home inspector and get that house inspected. So we just had one the other day. You do have to play by builder rules. And so sometimes they don't allow you either on the roof or in the attic or to remove electrical panel things. And some of those are for reasons that they generally get damaged when you're removing attic hatches, things like that, or scuffed or scratched, and they don't want to come back and make repairs. They don't want anybody walking. Bye. Go on. But they don't want anybody walking on a roof and maybe cracking a tile, or if the electrical panel has already been inspected and passed the formal city permitting and stuff like that, they don't want anybody tampering with that from that point on. So some of that stuff does still, play in new builds. So you're slightly limited, and you do have to carry some pretty substantial insurance, we found out, with some of these builders. Excuse me. The joys of live. Excuse me. So that one is an interesting one. The other questions that we keep getting are on are really focused on the supply of homes. So this week, yesterday, it was 14,498. So we're under 14,500. And our pendings as of yesterday were 9,340. And so with the market kind of picking back up, our active supply line is not coming to the spring market quite like we would be expecting normally. So we're trying to figure out if that's a seasonal fluke, if it's just kind of a backlog of inventory that's going to be hitting the market here this month, or if more people are just looking at a 2 and 3% rate, even a 4% rate, and choosing to stay a little bit longer and stay in that house instead of getting rid of that really great mortgage payment and moving on into something that might be closer to a 7% rate. So we're watching some of those supply challenges that we've got right now. There's a whole meaty presentation that I can get way into the weeds on if anybody cares. I'm happy to share that. We gave that one yesterday. Actually, we'll be putting videos out on some of that here shortly, so you can check back on that. What else do we need to talk about? I think that was it. I think those were my questions that I had written down. So some of the fun stuff that we've got coming up in the works is we've got an investment seminar again. We did one at the end of the year last year. We've got one on, I believe it's April 6th at 6 o'clock at night. So if you want information on that, let us know. I'm happy to send you an invite, and we'll be going over kind of our personal investment journey and talking about some of the different investment opportunities that we see around town, and see if that's going to be a game plan for you guys to grow your own net worth in your wealth plan and building a legacy. So happy to share. You guys, let's talk about anything real estate wise. If you have questions, shoot them over. We'll touch base on it next week, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.